All right, let's kick it off. Welcome,
Awesome.
AZ. It's a pleasure. Um, so I think that I'm going to start doing this with multiple team members from Brand North. I think it's a really cool way to just learn more about you and also like kind of talk about what we're doing at Brand North and how what we're creating is unique and just like what the interaction is like within working with an agency. And yeah, so I'm super happy to be chatting with you like this. So tell me, you know, what's up? Who are you to everybody that's watching?
Yeah, so my name is Ali Zaib Hassan. So normally I go by the name AZ. That's really easy and short. So that's how it got. So it got started. But normally, like I'm mostly working on automation. I started working in SEO plus automation when I was in ninth grade. So technically, I didn't know I was doing automation at that time, but I was very young. But I mean, that was something I was really fascinated about. So it started back then, but with all of my education and degree, I started to do it more because I did my computer sciences from 2016 to 2020, and with that, when I started to learn programming, then I started to understand what I was always like trying to do. I was always trying to automate stuff, and that's what we do here at Brand North. So normally I manage all the automation, especially like content and all the systems that we are generating. That's really like exciting for me, and I really love to work on these systems.
Well, yeah, it's been nothing but a pleasure working with you. Honestly, it makes I mean, you know this, that makes me so happy. And how long has it been that you've been with Brand North now?
Yeah, it's been about 1 year and 1 month, I guess.
Nice. And remind me, but like, how did we come in contact with each other? Did I find your GitHub? I found your GitHub,
So
right?
it's really funny. Sorry. So you actually messaged me on Facebook. It was from Korea's group. So I created a video about how we can do bulk generation of pages on WordPress, like especially local websites. That was a recorded video. You saw that video and you messaged me. And honestly, when I saw your message, I never replied. I said, I don't know who is this guy. I don't want to reply. And I never actually replied for a week or two. Uh, but again, the next week I saw
I
your
just kept
message and
bothering you. Did I just keep
no,
bothering
you
you?
were no, you were not actually bothering me. So actually, your message was in spam because we were not friends. So that's why I didn't like found your ID. I thought it's somebody unknown and trying to spam. But when I looked at your ID and I went through some of your posts, okay, then I thought it's a legit ID. It's not a fake one. But so yeah, then we started to discuss, and I mean, I think that was one of the best things I did. I started working with you because that Brand North is the place where I really found my passion, like what I really love. I got a chance to implement everything over there. So it was one of the best decisions, I think. But yeah, that's how we started working together.
Yeah, I remember. I remember actually now that you say that very clearly because like I'm always just like you know me. I'm so interested in just like making processes better and faster. So I remember that you were doing something where you were generating all of this, like all of this content in bulk, and I found that very interesting. And then I remember reading your website, and you spoke about something how you were doing something with like schools or education or something. I was like, okay, this guy's actually thinking deeply about how to solve problems. And I think that's like why I really like I kept after you and I wanted to work together. Um, it's like I just like people that are trying to push the boundaries and do something different. I could tell that you were critically thinking about solving problems. I just thought that was cool. And yeah, it's I think we've come a long way since you started.
Yeah.
Um, like you came on, you were working with other agencies at that time. And we're just like, let's just figure it out. Like let's just figure out, let's just work on a project or two together. I think you just started doing regular SEO, right? For like a few of our clients, and those projects went very well, but we were kind of always working towards this goal of just automating the entire company to be able to produce more and better and all of this different stuff. And that obviously eventually led to your role of really running all automations and implementing a lot of new AI workflows that have made our efficiency increase as a company. So how did that happen? Like, what was it like? I want to hear from you because it's hard, right? Like it's hard. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that like affecting change within an agency is hard, especially if you're relatively, I think any business that's doing under $10 million a year is actually a small company. And when you're trying to change process, you kind of need to build yourself out of the current role, the current job, because there's always things that need to get done. And you were able to successfully do that. A lot of people aren't able to do that. So you want to talk about that a little bit, like what it was like going from just being almost like, I wouldn't say a junior SEO person, but you were just an SEO team member that ultimately ended up, working on what really is your passion, I think, and really being able to have a huge impact on our company and on our clients. So what was that process like?
Yeah, so I mean, when we started discussing about how we can work together and all the automation things I was doing, I shared the GitHub with you, and you said, okay, this is exactly what I'm looking for. But then you said, let's first start with SEO only, because I want you to go through the whole process, how we are doing everything, so that you know how everything is done, and then we can go towards automating it. I think this was the main point, because first part is, I mean, even in automation, when you need to automate anything, the first thing is understanding. You need to understand the process manually, how it's being done. You need to know every part of it, and then you think about how you can automate it. And that's exactly how it went over here. We starting manually on working on the clients, how every other SEO manager was working. So that's how it started. And then I started to like think about how to automate each of the process, and started to implement small automations, and then eventually the content system and everything we built. So I mean, that's how it started, and here we are with that.
Now we're just waiting for the singularity and the the AGI to come from what we're developing. But no, it's awesome. So let's let's talk about what it's been like. Just first off, like we live across the world from each other. I feel like you're my best friend, brother at this point. Like we talk, I talk to you more than I talk to my wife probably. Um, so what's it like working across the world and like I know how it is, but I want to highlight that because I think I'm proud of it personally. Like I think that it's not easy to do. It's not easy to have an international team, and I think a lot of people um, just don't end up getting the right results out of that, or maybe don't understand how it can really work and be so successful. I mean, I think we've kind of formed a great working relationship and partnership together where, weren't you just elected to like the 30 under 30 award in your country? Like, so, you've got a lot of experience. You're doing some cool things. And I think that's awesome. So what's that been like?
I mean, it's been a great experience, especially when you are working internationally with different time zones and different cultures and different people. Especially here at Brand North, like we have like people from all over the world. So I take it as working with all over the brains from all over the world. Everyone thinks different. Everyone has its own way of taking things, solving problems. So you learn a lot from different people when you are working in a global team. And I mean, there is a little bit issue with the time zone that we have normally, because sometimes people are online in different time zone and you are in different time zone. But other than that, it gives you the opportunity to work like anytime and from anywhere in the world, and with any other person who thinks, for example, like we have people from Nigeria, we have people from Turkey, like I mean we have people from all over the world. So it's good because when you are working with different people, you are like looking at a different perspective of solving a problem, how they think it should be done. So that's really good thing, I think, and everyone should try to like implement it if they are working like for example, there are some remote countries, they have certain people, for example, they want to hire people from a certain country. But the thing is, like every country I think have exceptional talent. You just have to find the right people, and you will do it by just hiring and firing and doing the things again and again and testing different people, and eventually you might find somebody you are looking from a country that you never even like thought about. So I mean that's how I think it goes.
Yeah. I'm proud of it, man. I think it's one of our greatest accomplishments. Like we've got people. I don't think we have anybody in Alaska or we don't have anybody in Antarctica, but we've got people on like every continent, uh, like in the world, which I think is really cool. And it kind of it forces you to expand your mind when you're working with
Yeah.
that. So it's definitely something I'm proud of. What have you learned? Just changing subjects, like what have you learned since you've been at Brand North?
I mean, about exactly like what I mean, what part? Like, for example,
Just
any
about,
but
I guess, like two subjects, like business, um, business and process, like business in general and process, and then how we've been able to adapt when there's been so much change. Like literally, we're working in an industry that has completely changed in the last year since you've been here, and I think
yeah.
that we've adapted very well to that. But yeah, like just shed some light on what's been eye opening to you.
I think speed is the most important thing. Like when you're working any industry and things are changing so much fast, speed is number one thing. You need to know when you need to switch. For example, the things we are implementing right now, we are like thinking ahead of time because we know in future these things will be not possible with manual processes. We need to automate stuff, we need to implement AI automation and everything into it. So I think like figuring out where technology is going, how it's going to like be implemented in the industry, and how it's going to change how you work, you need to change your processes as well. And I think we are doing it really good in brand, not because we are doing it with speed, and we are doing it on the right time because we are looking at the future, how we need to change it beforehand, so that when the time comes and everything is affected, we are already in a position that we can like excel. So I think yeah,
Yeah,
that's the main thing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that was my thought process. Like I saw it, um, I saw it evolving. You know, like I really do follow, um, like I really consider myself an expert on Google and on SEO and on all of the different things. And I watched the shift happen where initially it was like I think during the Penguin update, right, where it was like you could basically just spam keywords, right? Like you put the keywords on the page and then you could open up very similar pages. So if it was like, you know, roofing in Naples, Florida, you could do you could do another page for like roofing contractor in Naples, Florida. And like both pages would rank, you know, and then like that update got wiped all of that off the face of the internet. And then it was like, okay, like you kind of have to produce better things because now Google's actually understanding the words and it's making connections between words. And I saw words being kind of like tokenized and indexed and entity connections made between those words. You didn't need to do a great job yet, but you just had to have the right content on the right page. And then that, you know, went through like 4 or 5 different iterations where now the content has to be perfect and there can't be any fluff or anything in those pages, and it needs to be totally organized. And I just saw this change happening, and then AI coming about, and I was just like, I, it was forget it. Like it's over. There's no way that any human being is capable of doing enough work to accomplish the right goal unless you're driven by technology, automation, and AI. Right? It has to became very clear to me that it has to, like, every team member can do more when they're driven by a solid process that's backed by technology. And I realized that probably about 2 years ago. It took me about, you know, I guess that's 10 months until I found you, right? And other great team members that we have, where I was like, I saw the shift between originally when I started the company 5 years ago, just trying to hire good writers, and then like it over time, I was like, okay, like we need to have engineers, like we need to turn into an engineering company that has fast, um, like tight project management and informed by, like, everything that we do has to be driven by technology because otherwise we're going to die. Like, it was just very simple that I just saw that. And so I just, like, when you realize something and you spend time continuing down a path, even when you realize that it's wrong, you're not going to make any progress, and like a lot of it hurts, because we did so much manual work in the past and some of that's become obsolete. But it's better to shift than to keep going down the wrong path. So I think that I saw that you came on board, and it was really the start of making that shift. And a year later, we've got a pretty built out automation engineering department. We have an AI um, agency that we're working with to help build our internal AI skills as we continue to hire for that role, and investing a lot of, like, in research and development to make our process better and faster. So I totally agree. That's all just to say I agree with what you're saying. Like, speed is important, and when you make a decision, you got to run with it.
Yeah.
So let's hop to what's it um like what's the actual building process like for you at Brand North? Like, how are you building your automation? How does that work? Like, talk about the interaction with me and with the rest of the team, and how you provide things that are actually useful, right? Because I think that's the other big purpose of it, and why you started in the role that you started in. If you automate something that doesn't really solve a problem, then what's the point, right? So what's that process been like for you?
I mean, normally whenever we are like trying to build something, I mean, I either it's coming from team or it's coming from you. For example, we have a process. An example would be the onboarding process when we interview clients, or any other process. The number one thing is whenever it comes to me, I had to like think the process, how we need to chunk it down into micro subtasks, so that even like when you're trying to automate something, if you start doing it as a whole, it won't be even useful for you. But when you actually chunk it down into small parts, it's very easy, because one or two or three parts, when all of those will come together, it will be useful. Like for example, if there is a process that takes 10 parts to complete, maybe like 3 and 4 will be useful. Fifth one we might not be useful for us, and we can skip it or we can improve it. And because we will know like we have certain parts that are useful, and I mean that's what we mostly do in the whole process that we are doing. For example, when we onboard the client, we take its interview, we clean it, we actually format it, and then we extract the facts and everything. So that's an example of it. Like whenever something comes to me, either from the team or you, for me it's thinking how the process can be, like I can like divide the process into as much smaller parts as I can, and then how to solve it. So it becomes way more easier when you do it like that. And I think especially we are doing the hackathon over here in Brand North. I think everyone else should be thinking like this. It will be way more easier. And next all in hand meetings, I'm going to like go over and show our team how they can like in real time, if they want to automate something, how can do that will be an example, and then they can do the hackathon and everything. But yeah, that's what I have in my mind about it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's cool to see it all come together. Like our onboarding process has gone down from not even not even really being able to start the work for almost like 2 or 3 weeks to like within the first 48 hours, we have so much information from our clients and we're off to the races, like right off the bat, where we're actually useful and we're providing direct value to our clients within a couple of days. And that's like a major, major change. That's like our output is just so much better. It's not just automation. I think that's the main thing that you're saying is that it's not just automation. Automation on itself is not useful. It's about having a process that works and thinking through that process and optimizing that process and then using automation AI to enhance that process. If you don't have process, you're just, you're in the wind.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, what else? What else is interesting? What else do you want to talk about?
I mean, sorry. So I think other than that, our content system, that's also really interesting that we have built at Brand North, because I think it took the most time. Eventually, it's in a lot of it uses a lot of different AI agents, and all of them working together and coming up with the final version, and especially the the second version which we are building right now for the team, that they will be able to use it and do the changes in real time. That's really interesting, and I really want to like hear your thoughts about it. Like, what do you think about it? And when like we were doing it, when we are doing it at the start, how it was and how it's now, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that like I'm very proud of it, as I'm sure that you are, because we spent so much time on it. And like it's fun to see the results where they started and where they are now. And I guess my message to anybody that's watching this and just to talk about it a little bit is we've worked on this system for probably like 4 months straight, right? Of like every day, back and forth. Like this output isn't good. This needs to be better in this way. This needs a better data set, right? And it's because we take pride in our work and we take pride in our content that we're actually putting out. And if it's not perfect, then we can't use it. And it's not even really something that we're using to a great extent yet, because if it's not perfect, I don't feel comfortable putting it on a client's website, right? Um, but it's gotten so much better. And the thing about it is like these things is the same thing that we were talking about before with like going to actually automate something with AI, in my opinion, it's getting better at the speed of light. Obviously, every new model that comes out is better, exponentially better than the next. But it's like the what you're doing and what you're telling it to do has to have a good data set, and it has to be a micro interaction. Like that was the biggest thing that I saw through going through this process is that and I'm somebody that, like I've used AI every day for probably 2.5 to 3 years now. And it still didn't ultimately occur to me where if you say to write a page, that page is going to be horrible. Um, but if you tell it to write 2 sentences, then those 2 sentences with specific instructions and information can be perfect. And if you take that principle and you like, that's what we did, right? Is like we got the micro automations right. And we spent so much time on it. What does it need? Where does it pull from? How does it how does it get better? And then when it's totally outputted, what do we do with it? And like, how many agents do you think we have working within our system? Like, and not our broader system, but I'm talking just to like get to these are the pages that we're going to create, and now we're creating them, and now we're publishing them.
I mean, I think about like 15 to 20, I guess. That's I can like think of right now. It can be like a little bit more as well, or a little bit less, but it's not less than like 10. It is more than 10, and it's between 10 and 20. And one more thing I think that is really important in the whole system, I guess, that is the expertise in the industry that you comes with, because that's also important thing, because whatever you're trying to automate, if you don't have the right expertise, you won't be able to get the right results. So you need to exactly know what you actually need. Of course, this is the process of like splitting it down into micro parts and everything, but again, if you're doing it generally for as a whole, it won't give you get results. Like, but if you,
Right.
yeah, if you have
And
good
that's like, I think the point that I'm trying to get across, right, is like it's taken us 4 months and of like all day work on this. And we're doing it for one industry, like
yeah,
every day for 4 months for one industry, and refining and refining and refining and giving it more data and getting better and getting better. And it really started from like 5 years of work that even fed into those 4 months, right? Because of thousands and thousands and thousands of articles that we've created in this industry. And it's like, I think to do it after we have all these learnings in another industry will be substantially easier, right? But it still takes, like, we know what good is. We already have good because we have pages that are ranked #1 in the world, right? So we already know what good is, and we're always going against what is good, and I think like accepting less than that. And it does take like human intervention, of course, and like there's human review and all sorts of different things that we have built into the process, but just getting to a place where you can produce something that's like really high quality that needs to be reviewed and edited and stuff like that. But I just think that it's like really cool. And I think the process, which I don't want to like reveal everything because I think it is pretty unique to what we've done, but we just found really creative ways to get so much information about what we're trying to do that it's a massive differentiator. Like it's not even AI anymore. Like it's like we have so much information on that one subject, so that one page that we've been able to extract and like get into this knowledge base, that it's almost just like compiling that information at the end of the day. And I think that's what makes it truly unique. Like there's nobody that will ever be able to like put a prompt into ChatGPT and get the same output as us, because we're starting with like so much more information and data that we've used different RAG systems on, and just all sorts of different stuff to be able to get there. So it's been a journey for sure, and I'm proud of it. And I think that putting in this legwork is gonna get us to something that's special.
yeah, agree, totally agreed.
Good stuff, man. All right. Well, let's lock it down for today. I got to go pick up my son, but thanks for coming on. AZ, as always, it's a pleasure. We'll post this on social media and see what happens. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you. See you.
Talk soon. Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.